Kill Complacency, a podcast that inspires growth and intentionality and helps you overcome your greatest obstacles.
So my guest today is Walter Bowser, and he's a local guide at OKC, does property management. I met him at a local real estate event, and I love what he's doing, love how he's growing, and just his growth mindset. So I want to get him on here, and I love your name, Purposeful Property Management. Yeah, so you can't have a name like that without some direction in your life, right?
Absolutely. We're a faith-based company and believe in a higher purpose. And what I built the company off of is having a higher purpose and wanted to treat people and serve people the right way.
Take me back, Walter. Tell me your backstory. How did you get into property management?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess it started when I was in college. I went to Oklahoma State University and kind of just stumbled upon a job of student housing. There was a 256 unit apartment complex that needed a property manager. I started there, did, the whole turns. For student housing, it's a little bit different. You have about 4 weeks to turn all those units that are moving out. They call it turn. It's just a time of a 2-week period where you're turning almost 50, maybe even 65% of your units before the new group of college kids come in and rent it out. Started there. Didn't think that property management was going to be the end all be all. And then ended up being the path for a career. Started buying real estate and managing it, then managing it for other people. As we got to single family homes, what we mostly focus on now is single family duplexes or OT family.
So you started out as an employee, is that right?
So I worked for a company called Scion Group. They did student housing. They're like the largest student housing corporation in America, I believe now. They just owned one single property in Stillwater where I was going to school. It was a lot of fun working for them because I was able to travel a lot. They would send me to different properties, like to Chicago or to Tempe, Arizona, or whatever, to help with getting those properties on board. I had a knack for property management, so I was able to see a lot and spend a whole summer in Champaign, Illinois. Not a very great place, but it was close to Chicago, so I go there on the weekends and have a good time, and kind of brought those properties back to life. They needed help leasing and just getting operations back together. So I did that throughout college. I worked there as a freshman and worked there through being a senior, and then started a company while I was in college. It was a bubblegum company. Sounds super weird, but we created a company called Bubble Calm. It had active ingredients to help relieve anxiety. And so we won a bunch of entrepreneurship things in college for doing that. We won the Love's Entrepreneur Cup and won $50,000 for a company, stuff like that. Ended up not working out on the company side on that and had that go away and started a different company and had that one acquired. And then we moved up here to Oklahoma City, my wife and I did, and started buying real estate.
That's cool. Tell me your first deal you bought. What was it?
Yeah, the first deal I bought was a duplex in Norman. Still have it. And it was just an on-market property, but I was infatuated with multifamily. I wanted to get into multifamily because I felt like that's what everyone does to grow their portfolio super fast. It turns out a good deal was great. I think now I mostly focus on single family just because there's a little bit more equity, and I like to do rehabs and keep as much capital in the deal as I can after the rehab and pull it out and then go on to the next one.
Is it interesting how everybody has their own twist?
Everyone can make money differently.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of people out there that love multifamily. I think it's about what you like and then how can you repeat it and make it happen easy for you. Like you might have a different strategy than I can, but at the end of the day, we probably all win, right?
I'm in a single family space, but I would say I'm in it because it's easy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sure. 100. Me too.
and my exit is easier,
Yeah.
So, but that's the appeal for me. Is the biggest appeal, I think, is my exit, my entry and my exit, make it so I can do it. So, but yeah, there's land guys, there's multi guys, there's commercial guys, there's single family. So
yeah, all the above. And then there's some that are like, I'm one of our biggest clients is the high W-2 income earner that wants to buy a new built property and put 25% down and not have a whole bunch of maintenance, but something that's going to appreciate and be easy for them. I love that kind of client. That's my favorite client ever. And also the clients that are accidental landlords that maybe inherited it or they can't sell their house right now. And then they're like, hey, what do I do with this? I'm like, well, we can rent it, build some more equity in it. And then when that time comes and it's a better market for the seller, then let's sell it.
Yeah, that's cool. Tell me about your name. How did you come up with it?
Yeah. So my wife and I We had 3 kids in 1 year. We call them our triplets. We have 2 boys that are 5 years old and 3 years old, and our daughter is about to turn 2. We adopted our 2 boys and then found out we were pregnant. So we had our baby and we called them the triplets. We had a bunch of kids really fast. And so our heart, like my wife and I's heart, were really into fostering and adoption and supporting people in that. Purposeful property management has a bigger purpose. When we're buying and what we're looking to buy, like my wife and I, we're looking to buy properties that are kind of in the inner city of Oklahoma City, not necessarily like the urban core, but like kind of near public transportation,
Mhm.
stuff like that. We want to make them a safe place. And then our goal is, as we start paying these houses off and don't have a mortgage on them and aren't leveraging as much debt, to be able to put tenants in there that might need a little bit lower rent, but to make it a safe place where they can keep their kids or get their kids back if they entered into foster care.
Mm.
We want to be a support system for them in the long term. That's our long-term plan.
That's your why. Yep, that's good. Talk to me about, I feel like property management is a very reactive business. How do you how do you stay intentional? How do you scale something that can be so reactive with needing to meet people's needs?
Yeah. And that's one of the biggest questions we get when we're onboarding clients. Are you reactive or proactive? In property management, we can be as proactive as we can be, but that doesn't mean we aren't never reactive. Like we talked about before we jumped on here, the hot water tank went out this morning. No one was expecting that. All you can do is react. They have an average lifespan, but you don't swap one of those out unless they break, right? You don't replace your car battery until it goes out on you, right? Like it just happens one day and you have to take it to Napa and get a new car battery. You're not going to swap out a hot water tank just because it's 20 years
Yeah.
old. Right? Maybe it's
Yeah.
still working. There's definitely a sense of we're going to have to react no matter what. And how we scale that is by using technology. There's so much technology out there now that we can be highly reactive, and then also building a team that has expectations to respond in a certain time frame and to get in touch with people in a certain time frame. When a tenant notices it and puts something into our system, we have a certain time frame of like, hey, this is an emergency. We need to get out there. And then we have the people and infrastructure in place to get that taken care of. And the beautiful thing of it is we have these infrastructures in place and we've worked really hard to build them, but ultimately it saves the owner money by using it. We have preferred vendors or in-house maintenance that give us discounts you're not going to get as a consumer by just picking the number one off of Google. They might not come out as quickly as you'd want them to, but when my plumber gets a call from me, he's going to go out. Like it doesn't matter if it's
Sure.
New Year's Eve or if it's Christmas Eve, like he's going to go out or get someone out there because my business means a lot to his business. Just the economies of scale working.
Tell me this, your company obviously is about the long term. It's not short term. So in a world where investors just want cheap and fast and easy, how do you stay committed to excellence and not cut corners?
That's one of the most beautiful things about owning your own business, right? You can pick and choose who you want to work with. We don't align philosophically. I'm not going to onboard you as a client because it's just not going to work out. It's going to make me lose money in the long term. It's going to make you unhappy. And there's no point to start a relationship if you aren't set up for success. Like, would you want to do that with your partner? Probably not. The interview process is both ways. Whenever we're onboarding a client or deciding to onboard a client, we really pick and choose. If our philosophies don't match up at the end of the day, it's not going to work out. So I'd probably just say, hey, we aren't the best fit. There might be something else that might fit for you elsewhere. And maybe I can help point them in the right direction. Ultimately, we probably wouldn't onboard them. I see you smile. I think you're probably like, yeah, that's exactly what I would do as well.
Well, I get it because you're not always a good fit with everyone in business. And the sooner you recognize that, the better.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the sooner, like you said, it's going to cause everyone a lot less heartbreak in the long run. I will say though, being a property management company, I feel like we do get a bunch of calls from maybe first-time investment clients or people that are just like, hey, I'm curious in what rental is out there. It's honestly shocking to me when I get on the phone and they're like, hey, I want to invest with no money and I want to invest in real estate. I've seen all these things that are no money real estate. I can get into real estate and start building wealth and just collect a check. And I'm like, well, let's talk about this. Yes, there is ways to invest in real estate with no money, like a BRRR or something like that. But you have to have money up front to play the game. You will get that money back, but you have to have money to play the game. It's kind of like Monopoly. You start with $200 and then you go around, right? So you have to have money to play the game. And then unlayer why no money, and you get to the point where, okay, you have like $0 in your bank account right now. there's a million different ways that are smarter investment than real estate that we should probably start off with. Let's just go ahead and start putting $100 a month into a index fund and see what that does. There's a lot safer ways. And then when we build up a nest egg, then maybe let's try real estate. I think that's probably one of the most shocking things that I see a lot. I'm sure you've seen that as well too.
And I think it's more prevalent now with social media, because if you punch that in, you can find how to buy deals with no money. People think I can do this, but I would argue you can, but it's going to involve time. You got a lot of time.
100%. And there's always ways to do it, right? Like if you partner with someone and you're boots on the ground type of person for that individual, or however you may do it, there's definitely ways.
People that want the mentorship, they don't know. Let me ask you this. How do you see investors being complacent with investing? Or what's the most complacency thing you see in investors?
Yeah, I think the most complacent thing is when we're getting to a turn, right? So when we get to a turn, typically I tell the investor or the client, here's a list of what we need to do to get this property up to rental standards for us to get another tenant in there. And then I might add, the carpet is a little bit worn. It might be time for us to, replace it or whatever. I just want to be proactive on this side. And then also it will help the rent whenever a tenant comes and sees it. I always say first impressions are big. When you go on a first date, you get ready, make yourself look good, put on some cologne and go out, brush your teeth. It's the same thing for a rental property. When a tenant comes in, if you're wanting to get the most rent, you want to have, the lawn manicured, the carpet looking good, it's smelling good in there, because first impressions mean a lot. And people will be more apt to pay higher rent price. And so if you get 5 years out of your carpet, or you get 6 years out of your carpet, that's a pretty good lifespan. Spending $1.50 per square foot to replace it with LVP or replace it with carpet might be worth it. But complacency I see is like, hey, we'll just keep it where it's at right now, even though I could maybe get, $1,200 more a year on this property if I were to do a minor upgrade. And then the other complacency I'd see is they're taking that cash flow, or just what little cash flow or equity they're building in that home, and they're just letting it sit, or they're going to spend it on things that they probably, don't need or shouldn't do from an investment point. I'd say cash flow isn't big right now, but some of our clients cash flow a lot of money off their properties because they bought them back in, 1990s or the 2020 or the interest rates were low. So there's cash flow out there, but they're just taking that money and maybe spending it on something else, or not using it as, okay, this is coming from an investment. Let's recycle that into another index fund or some sort of fund where I'm making some sort of interest on this money. So I see a lot of that where there's just, hey, we can take this money and we could probably make money off of it to reinvest later on.
Yeah. No, that's good. And that last one, I see that a lot. Like, have you read The Richest Man in Babylon?
I have not, no.
It's an old, maybe like 1930s book. I think like Robert Kiyosaki, I'm sure read it. A lot of his principles come from that book. But something they talk about in there is putting your dollars to work and creating this army of money that's creating more money. Yeah, I think that's a problem people make, is they just go out there, they invest and they pull out proceeds, they don't reinvest. When you do that, you can't make that snowball grow and grow and grow.
If there's no growth, even if it's small growth, it's still growth, right? Like some owners I talk to just keep their money in a savings account. I'm like, at least put it in a money market where you're making some sort of money off of it. It's at least something.
I know when we talked, you use a lot of VAs. Talk to me about that. How's that helped your business?
Virtual assistants have changed a lot of the real estate industry, right? I mean, probably tons of industries, right? Where it's cost-effective labor for tasks that don't need to be done boots on the ground. So admin tasks and stuff like that. We heavily utilize virtual assistants because they can, first of all, they're brilliant. Most of ours live in either Mexico or Venezuela. I like Spanish-speaking virtual assistants, especially here in Oklahoma, because they can talk to our maintenance vendors that speak Spanish and our tenants that speak Spanish too, because we have a bunch of Spanish-speaking tenants. So it's really good for us. They take care of admin tasks. They're brilliant. They can take care of all of the back end stuff. My favorite thing is to either keep them in my phone and have them on speaker. I'm just talking to them, make notes, and then it's on my computer later so I don't forget what's going on. The less I can keep in my brain, the more I feel like I have bandwidth to do things later. So I'm not having to always remember, oh, this property over here that I just got a call about needs X, Y, or Z. I'm on the phone or talking on WhatsApp with Daniela, who's going to write this all on a note or go ahead and put the maintenance request in and take care of it.
Sure.
So I don't have to do that later.
The other thing, I think you hire better with their VAs because you're looking at their qualifications as opposed to hiring local people. You will maybe make some sacrifices for the sake of knowing them or knowing their friend.
100%. And I think that that is a big advantage that I probably haven't thought about. I think that's a good point, but I'm smiling because I've made that unconscious decision or whatever. It wasn't like I wasn't consciously thinking about that, but yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to go a resume. You're not really seeing that person. You do see what they look like. You're not seeing them.
It's not the same.
Exactly. And it's probably pretty black and white and cut and dry that way. You're right. I never thought about that before.
There's a guy, Dan Kennedy, and he has a VA, and he insists that they live across the country from him because he wants to be able to create systems where they're not bombarding him and distracting him. And so I think that's another advantage we often take for granted when we have a executive assistant or whatever who's one office over, then we're probably going to get interrupted more.
And the interruption is probably super minimal for a virtual assistant because they're either just pinging you via the way you talk, like whether it's email or WhatsApp or text message, and it's not an in-person thing. Now, I say there's probably some disadvantages, but I feel like sometimes it's hard to really build a culture. I just onboarded a new virtual assistant, and it was really funny because they're like, I was like, hey, what days would you prefer to take off for the holidays, like for Thanksgiving and Christmas? And they're like, hey, no, I'll work, straight through it, no problem. I was like, no, we like Thanksgiving Day, like I know you don't even celebrate over there, but like, hey, you're gonna take that day and it'll be paid for Christmas, like we're gonna have some time off there in that frame. Building a culture and then making sure the virtual assistants can communicate with each other and they feel happy and healthy. It's a quite a fun ecosystem. But it's hard to build, and you want to make sure that you build it, to where it's fruitful and not a negative environment where they're like, hey, this person gets paid more than this person. Why is that the case?
It's always a fight in a business.
Exactly. And you have to navigate that system.
Yeah. Talk to me about leadership. What have you learned as a business owner, specifically property management, in regards to leadership and what it takes?
Yeah, I think my biggest problem as a leader is I can probably do this better, right? So let me take care of it and not delegate it and see what happens. If something needs to be come to me, then come to me with it. That's my biggest problem is letting go. And as property management, this, it's just so many things. It's called monkey brain, right? So many things can pop up within a day. Delegating and letting those things go, especially as we were, growing, it's really hard because you have such a relationship with your clients. You're like, hey, I know how this client wants to be interacted with. I know how this person acts. I know them kind of in an intimate level compared to our employees. Then, I want to handle it for them, or they need to hear it from me, and then that's just such a big, unrealistic and completely false way to look at it. It's better. And actually people can do things far better than I can. They're smarter and faster and can do it better than me. That's probably the biggest thing I've learned, to delegate and also have confidence in doing that. They're going to take care of it probably better than you can. So having that sense of confidence in your team.
Give me a story. How have you learned that? When you had your bubblegum business, did you understand that then, or where along the way did you understand that?
No, I definitely didn't understand it then. I was like, hey, we're doing all these things. I'm amazing. And then we wanted to outsource our gum manufacturing. I really wanted to do it. We were doing it in-house, like making gum. It's silly, but I was like, no, we can't delegate this. This is the way we do it. Blah, blah, blah. Ultimately, that probably killed the business, right? Like, I was just so unwanting to delegate it and let other people do it.
Wanted to control.
And then I think in real estate, it was hard for me. But then I think I got to a point where it was like other things were suffering because I wasn't allowing people to do their job. I was like, if I'm not allowing people to be successful, then nothing's going to be successful, right? Yeah. So I think that's how I learned it, was specifically in this company. It was the leasing side of it. I was like, people aren't responding fast enough. People aren't doing this. Like, they're not as responsive as I am. And leasing's really big to us because that's how we step on the right foot with the owners.
Nobody wants vacancy.
No one wants vacancy. And then it quickly was like, hey, we have so many houses on the market. I can't do this. And then finally it was like, I'm going to actually step away. And I took a conversation from another person saying to me, hey, you can't let me do my job. And I was like, oh, okay, got it. And so I was like, that's all. And that was better than when I was doing it. It worked out great.
Yeah, that's good. I have an accountability call on Monday, and we always start with an intention question. One of the questions was, who in your company do you need to let go? And they said, Marty, what do you say? And I said, it's myself. Because it's true. And as a leader, ultimately, it's all on you. But I think it's really hard to do as entrepreneurs who create businesses to not get in the way and to lead in such a way that people will step up and do their job.
Yeah. And I think I'm still growing on that for sure. Absolutely still growing. And I think that's a big realization to come to, especially with what you said, like letting myself go. It's harder than just saying it for sure.
Mm-hmm. I just wanted to thank you guys for listening to the end. In closing, I just wanted to add that if this message resonates with you, if it aligns with your values and something in it today triggered something, then you can also look me up on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. We are really trying to help people live more intentional lives to kill the complacency with which they have subscribed to. I know there's many ways in which I get sucked in all the time. So if this is beneficial, follow me there.